have, with the people we have, manpower, natural resources, energy, coastline, that we had hoped that by 1999, the turn of the century,
yes,
Nigeria should have done for Africa and black people what Japan did in the previous century for the yellow people, with that major restoration. And that is still possible. But you see, once you abandon planning, both long-term planning and the medium terms, things don't go well, because money comes, money will go if you don't pre-identify your priorities. This is why, when at last, with all the mistakes we'd made, under Abuja, we now had the Vision 2010. And Abuja set up the Implementation Council. Half of them were ministers, 15 of them. 15 were people like us, not in government, and he was the chairman. Of course, he died. And unfortunately, we forgot about Vision 2010. Even though subsequently, when democracy was restored under General Obasanjo, I was chief economic advisor. I did not succeed in persuading him that we should follow, because we must learn in this country, build on what you meet. If every time a regime comes, you start new foundation, we'll never reach the decking, we'll never reach the roof. So I'm glad that at last, with all that we've seen, what is important is a vision. And Vision 2020, that one I was chairman
of one of the committees.
Again, we worked it out. We had 2010 to 2013, 2014 to 2017, 2017, 2021. Have we followed it? No. All the indications of the votes for productive sector, infrastructure and all that, you will find that we never even reached 30%. But when it came to recurrent expenditure, take the National Assembly for instance, started with 16 billion in 1999 to 2000. By in 2011, it was 41 billion. Same number of people. I see the statistics which have been released, but it's incomplete. You don't just talk about official allowances. I mean, you have to talk about the total expenditure. We've not put in the constituency provisions and all that. So, if we go back under this regime, discipline planning, restructuring of the budget,
yes,
even with oil at below $50 a barrel, how many of our neighbors have oil of that type? There is enough resources, proper management, to go back to the trajectory of rapid development.
Yes.
And you don't even need we could grow again at more than 10% per annum.
Yes, going back to the old order, so to speak, well, following the pattern, not just to be stagnant. And perhaps the current administration talk about is zero budgeting. What it means by that, essentially, prioritization of projects and development planning. And going back to manufacturing and agriculture, is it the way forward, General?
Well, before I pronounce on that, I think we should have reference to the background to our choices of development plans or party political manifesto. He has spoken about the Vision 2020. We had other plans before that were conveniently abandoned. However, we are now operating within the framework of a constitution. Although the chapter of the fundamental principles of our state policy is not justiciable, but it is a conscious direction to the political leaders. Now, following from that, and knowing that the political decision makers take an oath to abide by the Constitution, you will find that in most cases, even the conscience that should guide planning that is embedded in the Constitution is not followed.
Now, we've gotten to the stage where the provision of the Constitution, those fundamental principles, provided that the commanding heights of the economy should be governed or regulated paramountly by government. But we have chosen the other present scenario where the private sector is the engine of development.
Yes.
However, it's not free from government direction or government regulation. That being the case, and we have adopted the democracy as the way forward, then it means we are bound by the framework of the Constitution, the division of government, legislature, executive, and the judiciary. We are bound by the political parties and their manifesto and their promises by which they are elected and given a mandate.
Yes.
Now, based on that, we expect that the executives of every state government or of the federation have made a promise. Based on these promises, we expect their performance. And against that and the provisions of the Constitution, we shall judge their performance and perhaps will the axe if and when the next opportunity of election comes.
Yes.
Now, what we expect from this present government has been clearly underlined by the president. He's made vain promises, which I think has shown the mind of acceptance by a great majority of the populace, and they have confidence in him that from the halo of his past and present, that he will deliver.
Yes.
So we are hopeful that we will judge him against, or judge the government and good governance against the provisions of the Constitution to which they are sworn to, against the promises which are also picked from the objectives that are stated for the state. So we are hopeful. If we realize the minimal content of corruption, the dedicated faith in the promises and programs, and of course the prudent spending on the selected projects that government intends to implement. Now, the devil in all this is the detail, and those details are the issues of due process in contracting system, in pricing system, in effective payments, in accountability, transparency, and ensuring that they are in place and that value for money is gotten for the general public.
Okay, so now we talk about resources, is not just the material resources or monetary-wise, the fiscal policy, but human resource, which Nigeria has tremendous human resource as a nation. How do you see, just as the general say, is the manipulation of the economy that matters, and who manipulates the economy and talked about is the human beings.
Yes.
So how do you see the choices of characters and the issue of prudent management of resources at the disposal of those in authority?
I think Nigerians are eminently governable once the leader does what he's preaching. Under the colonials, you were sure sanctions will be promptly applied to transgressors. So we want the message to be clear. The laws are there, the regulations are there, financial regulations, procurement regulations, and all that. It is people doing things wrong and not being sanctioned that led to this escalation. So once the message is clear, and I hope it will be given quickly, now people should then conduct themselves strictly to budgeting and all that. And I hope that the political parties will, they've not done so before, as up to now, go back to the issues driven. The issues have been defined, as my general friend said, in the directive principles. We have also gone a little bit in Vision 2020 and saying politics should be parties telling us how they propose to achieve those things and how best they will do it. So we can then choose which will be the better team. It will be a more productive type of politics.
Yes, General, final note.
Yes, I think finally I would say we must be impressed in what is going on now in the emergence of leadership. There is the infighting openly coming out between those who want to emerge as leaders. And the screening today, I must say, I was very impressed that people are making statements that justify their emerging into a position of leadership.
Yes.
It's not a gift. They now believe that they earn it and they will earn the confidence of the country to perform. In other words, we are beginning to lift up the quality of leadership in the apex of the legislature. As we have seen, a lot of self-expression under the Constitution took place before the elections took place, and we emerged successful as an emerging democratic country through the elections. So we are hopeful that it will lead to a stable, developing frontier economy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, General IBM Haruna, for honoring our invitation and for your tremendous contribution towards the growth and development of this great country, Nigeria. Chief Philip Asiolu, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we hope we follow along your lines too in our undertakings, in our perspective towards having a greater Nigeria. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, that has been Moment for Thought for this week. You've heard it all from the elder statesmen. Nigeria has what it takes to be a very great nation, perhaps a leader on the African continent. What which needs to be done is for the resources, tremendous resources, to be honest, for functional development of the general society. That has been Moment for Thought. I'm Aliyu Bababaro. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Different tribes and languages, yet we are united in our diversity. All over the world, Nigerians are known to be very hardworking and resilient people. In our history as a nation, there have been many storms, but just like the eagle, we always soar very high above the storms. Together, as a nation, we stood against Ebola virus disease in 2014, and we conquered. Together as a nation, we shall stand against COVID-19, and we shall surely triumph. Let's do our part as citizens, obey the health authorities, stay at home, practice social distancing and proper hygiene. When this is over, and very soon it will be, we shall dance again at the Calabar Carnival, the Eyo Festival, Celebration, Ojudioba Festival, and Aragongo Festival. When this is over, and very soon it will, we shall flock the beaches again. We shall attend our music concerts again. We shall invite the world once again at the Lagos City Marathon. When this is over, and very soon it will be, we can return to our hustle and bustle. We will gather at our churches and mosques. We shall return to our schools and institutions. Our hope is alive. We are Nigeria, and together we shall rise again. Nigeria Film Corporation, powering possibilities.
NTA Tuesday Live, analytical, in-depth, educational. creative and interactive on national issues, accommodating all sides of opinions.
We as a people have understood that we have to fight corruption before it fights us back.
Poverty has a financial index, so it should be fought also with a financial weapon. Give it to the social investments program. It has been a very courageous battle.
Tuesday Live, every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. Join us.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
And heighten